guys, it's Janet with remarkablycreated.com. In today's really quick video, I want to give you a tip for inking up your embossing folders. These projects here are for a blog hop. We themed the blog hop Mix and Match, where we are using something new from either Sale-a-bration and the spring catalog and some fun products from the annual catalog. In addition, I've been doing some embossing techniques with my Facebook Lives over on Facebook. So I kind of tied all of those things in together. So this beautiful new folder is called Basket Weave. It is one of those thick, dynamic folders which gives you a very, very deep etched impression on your cardstock. And so for this project here, you can see this is Whisper White cardstock, but you can see some of the tan in between that. And what we did for that is you've got your folder and you have the raised side and then you have the indented side. When you run it through, the raised side pushes in, or the opposite, pushes up in to the cardstock. So on the side where you see the Stampin' Up! Logo and it is not raised, went ahead and covered that with ink, and you simply just take your ink pad, and it's classic ink that's washable, it'll come right off, and you're going to tap that in. You're going to lay your cardstock in and run it through. And in this case, we did crumb cake. And again, we did it on the non-raised side, the side with the Stampin' Up! Logo. For this card here, featured You've Got This, it is embossed in copper and colored on the back side to create kind of a stained glass look. And it is colored with the blends. Has a little tag on it, but just tied in that copper embossing. And then that really pretty basket weave. And that stamp set here is the You Got This stamp set that is in the annual catalog. So, two more options for you. This time we actually just used, and I'm pulled the elements in because I thought we'd assemble these cards together, is I have two pieces of crumb cake cardstock. And just to show you the true difference in inking up one side versus the other. And in this case, we simply inked up the folder with Versamark. And then after we impressed on the card, we went ahead and sprinkled embossing powder over it. So again, this card was done just like the first card, putting your Versamark pad on this side and then running it through the Big Shot with paper, pulling it out and putting your powder on it. So again, that's done on the non-raised side, the side with the Stampin' Up! Logo, and we get that effect. After washing and cleaning your folder, then go ahead and try the other side. And soap and water works great. You don't have to use anything fancy. But then on the raised side, the side that just has the little copyright information down in the lower corner, you ink that up with your Versamark powder on it, and you get the opposite effect. And I'll lay these right on the sides of the folder. So again, look at the total difference, but look at the fun that you can have with inking up your folders. Again, you can't ruin them. Just simply wash them off with soap and water. You could put multiple colors on there. Again, you can use them with Versamark for embossing, whether you tap the ink on, sponge roll it on, lots and lots of possibilities. This is plastic, so again, it's perfect for adding a little bit of that ink to it. So have some fun doing that with your projects. But let's finish up these projects here that will go on the blog hop tonight. So let's start first with this one. We're using a base of Calypso Coral. It's a half sheet of cardstock, so it's 8.5 by 11. Or 8.5, excuse me, by 5.5. So yeah, cut from an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock. We've cut our crumb cake piece down to 4 inches by 5.25. Let's grab our, and I don't want to put our snail adhesive on just yet. I've taken one of our doilies and I've simply just sponged it. Took a sponge with Old Olive. I didn't sponge all the way into the middle because I will be covering it. This image here is my mix and match element. So I have the new element and then I'm mixing and matching here with Flourishing Phrases. This is a 2-piece set. I love the greetings and the elements in this set. It does have coordinating framelits, so that's my mix and match component. Oh, sorry, wrong one. That was the other one. I just looked at it as I put it down. I'm sorry. Floral Statements is the one that we're using for this one. Again, I just use copper embossing throughout just to kind of tie that cohesion together. I also colored this one with the blends, just like we did the first one. While we had the blends out, we just kind of kept coloring. I have a 1-inch strip of our Calypso Coral, so let's put some adhesive on that. And I'm going to run that just as like a band across, a little bit longer. So we'll just cut it. And then before I put everything else on, I have a really pretty piece of this variegated or ombre Calypso coral ribbon. And I just want a little bit of adhesive to secure that to that back side. And now we'll go ahead and put a bunch of adhesive on. I like to really go heavy on the adhesive, especially when I have these raised surfaces that you get with these texture folders, because you've got, again, you're trying to hit the high points so that you have something to stick. So we're going to go ahead and set that down on. And I'm going to take my doily, and in this case I'm only going to put adhesive in the center. You do need to be a little careful. You can rip your doily, and you don't want that to happen. Put that down. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this whole thing down. You're going to see color on the back. Blends do bleed through your cardstock, so you want to make sure that when you are coloring with your Stampin' Blends alcohol markers that you have some type of scrap paper to preserve your surface. And so now we have a very elegant, very pretty thank you card. And our last piece would be to take a piece of very vanilla that ties into the front. And we're going to add that on the inside so that we can go ahead and write our message. So there's our second card. Then for this card, I have, again, another half sheet of 8.5 by 11 cut down. So you have 8.5 by 5.5. In this case, I chose to use vellum as my layering piece and 4 inches by 5 1/4. I have the embossed piece that we did on the raised side, so a lot more dramatic copper on that. And in this case, we're just going to go ahead and adhere that down. We'll put that piece on. Then in keeping with the embossing, I went ahead and embossed the flower with the coordinating elements from the Flourishing Phrases, and that was the stamp set that I showed you here. That's a 2-part set. So that's this set. I went ahead and die cut the real pretty flourish as well as one of the flowers. I also, with our layering ovals, cut another piece of vellum out because I really wanted to give just a little bit of contrast. Here is one of our banners, and it just has I love you, which is one of the greetings from the Flourishing Phrases, again embossed in copper. So let's start to put some of this together. I'm just putting a little bit of adhesive in the center because I know that the center will be hidden, and I'm going to go slightly off to the side just a little bit. It's not dead center, just off to the side a little bit. And then again with the Flourishing Phrases, I'm going to adhere it right over top of that vellum so that if any vellum or adhesive goes through, it's not a big deal because all of that's going to get hidden on here. And let's take our nice big embossed flower that we did. And now in this case, we're going to take a dimensional, and I'm going to put a dimensional in the center of this flower. And we're going to just press that down. And don't panic yet about being able to see that white piece through here because we're going to cover it. One of the fun things that I showed them in a previous embossing video was to take our clear faceted gems. And what you're going to do with these is, let's pretend like, oh, we've got a Versamark pad right here. So you have your Versamark pad, and you're just going to take, I like to cut these into strips, and then you're just going to mush them really hard down into the Versamark. You want to just press really firmly, because what you want to do is you want to make sure that you get ink even around the sides. Then I just simply sprinkled powder on these and heat set them with the embossing tool, and now I have copper faceted gems. And so we can peel that off, and then that's going to go in our center now, covering that dimensional that we have there. And we can just take and put just a tiny, I want a glue dot because those will hide easier. So let's take a glue dot. And use our paper piercing tool to pick one up. You can also press direct to it, but in this case I want to be a little bit more precise about where I'm hiding my dimension, or my glue dot, excuse me. And I'm picking behind the love so you can't see it. And where do I want this greeting? How about like that? So there you have a very stunning copper on copper on copper with just a little bit of vellum. Here's a layer to break that up, as well as behind to allow it to pop. But just a real stunning, beautiful card ready to send to somebody for an anniversary. I originally thought I was going to send a different card to my daughter for Valentine's, but I actually think that this one would really wow her, and she loves texture and things like that, so I know that she would appreciate this card, so this may be her Valentine's instead. So thanks, guys, for watching. You can see all of these projects up close and personal, and just a reminder that this folder will be available on February 16th as a free gift with a $100 purchase. It is part of a bundle that includes our really beautiful blossoming basket stamp set as well. If you don't want to wait till then, the bundle can be purchased for $21.50 as an element in a Demonstrator starter kit. Of course, with the Demonstrator starter kit, you get $125 in product for $99. You pay no shipping on that order, and then you have the ability to save 20% on future purchases, as well as access lots of Demonstrator benefits. So if that's something that interests you, let me know when you come over to visit me at remarkablycreated.com, or use any of the links in the YouTube description below to reach out and to contact me. But this folder is absolutely beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed the projects that I mixed and matched for you. And again, come see me at remarkablycreated.com. Thanks, guys.